Welcome to the Business and People podcast. I am your host, Walt Bayliss, and on today's episode, we talk with Cindy Donovan, the CEO of Wildfire Concepts and a cancer survivor who started her first business from her hospital bed. We talk about some of the challenges that she went through juggling motherhood and some of the highs, including making $100,000 in 14 hours. An incredible interview talking through all of the different life's journeys and the strength of a community behind you in business. Enjoy today's episode of the Business and People podcast with our special guest, Cindy Donovan. Cindy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me here, Walt. It's so exciting to be here.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. That's a nice thing to say to get started. And of course, you're right. I was just mentioning in the introduction that you have done some amazing things. And one of the things that has impressed me beyond belief is that you have created an empire as a female CEO in an otherwise male-dominated space. And you've done it with absolute aplomb and done it incredibly well. How has that worked out for you?
Thank you. It has been, it's had its ups and downs. I don't know, overall, I really love it. I am not quite sure why there's not more women in the space. Basically because, traditionally, right, if you're raising children and you're at home, you have a little bit of extra, not time, but, you have, when the kids are sleeping, there's a little bit of time in between doing quick cleanups and stuff and all of that. I think it is the perfect opportunity for women that are wanting to make a little bit of extra income from home. But yeah, there are so many challenges because it is mostly guys.
Yeah, true enough. I'll come back to that in a sec because as a father myself of two daughters, I think it's important that we eliminate the roadblocks that are out there. But you were talking about starting that business when you've got the kids and overcoming those challenges. And one of the most amazing challenges of your background is that you started that whole entrepreneurial journey from a hospital bed.
I did, in fact. Yeah. So about 13 years ago, I was studying to be a primary school teacher and I had two children. They're older now. They were 4 and 6 at the time. So they were just littlies. And I decided to go to university, doing my studies to be a primary school teacher. And about halfway through my degree, I was called into the doctor's office after a little bit of a checkup. And it turned out I had cancer. I had breast cancer. And I was 29 at the time. They found this little 0.5 centimeter tumor, about that big. And a week and a half later, they operated to remove that. And it had grown to 2.5 centimeters and it had spread through my lymph system. And so it was very aggressive. And because of my age and everything, they hit it with everything. Like we had a lot of surgeries. My family was with me supporting. I had chemotherapy, radiotherapy. And while I was having chemo, there was a lot of sitting around time. Obviously lots of doctor's appointments, but I was exhausted and there was very little physically that I felt comfortable doing. So a lot of sitting around. And so I just picked up a laptop and created a website. And so my first website was lame. It was lame, but I learned a lot. And I think that's all just part of the entrepreneurial process. We ended up, through that website, I ended up connecting with 2 other guys and we did a launch on ClickBank. And I went from being no one and nothing in one of the most poorest suburbs in Adelaide to sitting there in my little dodgy place, refreshing this ClickBank account. And we did our first $100,000 of sales in 14 hours. Wow. So it went from nothing to, holy crap.
As all primary school teachers do at some point in their time. That's very, very cool. And so never looked back. Has it been just a constant wave of amazingness since then, or have there been ups and downs?
Well, it's been 13 years. So yeah, there have definitely been ups and downs. And part of that, I think, is because traditionally, so with the women thing, right, we were talking a little bit about, me being one of the very few women in it. I was able to, right near the start, use that to my benefit because there weren't very many men in the space. And I think when you're doing anything online or even offline or any kind of business, finding that thing that sets you apart and makes you unique is something that will get noticed. And back then, I was one of the very few women who wasn't scared to be around a bunch of geeks, who wasn't, I grew up with 3 brothers, so chatting and, having a bit of boy talk and stuff, I wasn't, that didn't bother me. And it doesn't mean that I'm super blokey, because I'm quite feminine, but it's sort of like not letting that kind of stuff offend you, and or just going with that, having a bit of fun. Kind of helped. Yeah.
Can I ask your opinion on something? So I said I was going to come back to it, which I'm glad we have. This is my opinion, and I really want to find yours. I think it's easier to be a female in your own business as an entrepreneur than it ever would be in the, in inverted commas, traditional workforce. That would be my opinion, because you can write your own rules. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I agree. Yeah. I do have some concerns, because I do hear, obviously, whenever there's some kind of kerfuffle going on Facebook or something, when it comes to women, not enough female speakers at events, or not enough representation for people creating products, or women launching products and not getting enough affiliate support, or whatever. I think, and this might not be popular, I think a lot of the women that are launching and then getting all upset because their launches aren't doing massively, they're relying too much on the fact that they're being a woman to try and get the support. So I think if you're relying solely on the fact that you are in the minority, and because of that everyone should support you, it's not going to work. So I would say get into communities. If you've got ideas and you want to launch them, speak to the guys that are launching and releasing software products or releasing information products. Find out the guys that are really doing it solidly, and then work out how you can make sure that your launch is going to be the best.
Yeah, sure.
There are some people that have come out of nowhere. I know Roshni, she's doing incredibly, and she's just stepping up there, and she's not I'm a girl, please promote me. She's like a woman with power, and this is what we need. We need more women who have really good quality products, not just relying on the fact that I'm the minority, please promote. Yeah.
I think as if we look at the wider entrepreneurial space, having that quality product is the standout above all. I mean, you really need to make sure that you've got that something unique that you can take to market. You don't have to be the only one in a space, but you have to be damn good at what you're doing. And so what you're saying, if I'm hearing you right, is stop playing the woman card and just start playing the business card, rather than, relying on just be who you are.
Have a really great product, have a really great sales funnel, have incredible copywriting up there and video, actually go and do the best that you can. And obviously, support people where you can as well. You can't expect to just show up on the scene and have everyone supporting you and then get upset if no one does. And that's for men or women.
Yeah, I completely agree. So now you've got some amazing things going on. And as the CEO of your own venture, you've obviously got iSlick coming through, which looks like an incredible platform. And we've spoken before about, the backing that you've got with that and the goals, et cetera, which looks amazing. Tell me, now that you've got these amazing products to work with, you've got this big team of people, what does an average day look like for you?
Oh, okay. I'm not sure that there is so much of an average day when it comes to it. I like to start my day off with probably about half an hour at the start of the day. Once I actually get to work. So, I do the normal mum thing. My kids are 17 and 19 now, so my son is still in high school. My daughter's at uni. She just goes and makes her own way and stuff. But my son, I still drive him to school. So we get into school. And then once I'm ready to dive into work, I'll do maybe half an hour just planning what are the 3, and you've probably heard this before, but what are the 3 things that I can accomplish today, that if I complete those things, I'm going to feel like I've succeeded with my day. Yeah. I know it can get really overwhelming when we look at, you want to do a big product launch or something, you don't even know where to start. But if you're breaking it all down and you can see these 3 things that can get you close to that actual goal, then it kind of does away with the feel like as entrepreneurs, and you probably experienced this too, Walt. Like it can feel like we're just chasing our tails,
Sure.
like all the time. So it doesn't matter even if we've had the most, productive day. And my day, if you were to look at my list of things that I get done, I get a lot of stuff done. But I was always feeling really crappy about it. Like I would get to the end of the day and feel like I can't close the laptop. I can't shut off because I haven't finished stuff.
I feel like as an entrepreneur, and especially as a CEO in that role, you finish the day with more on the list than you started with.
It happens, yeah, and it can happen. What I've done actually is I have a wall, and I can't show you because it's like in the other room, but I have a wall. So I create sticky notes and like physical, actual Post-it notes, and I write when in the morning. I'll write in what it is that I want to get done, and then as soon as it's done, it's just that like that physical. Take it off, put it on the done pile. And I have a whole wall of my things that I've done.
That's
and
nice
so
to see that you've actually achieved, like
actually achieving stuff. Yeah.
Like
Because I know so much, like we create to-do lists, right? And we just like, they're done and it's done. And we don't take a moment to reward ourselves and just go, you're doing right.
Yeah, cool. Right. That's a great suggestion, actually. So that you can have that capture of the fact that, yes, looking back at the day, even though I feel like my to-do list is grown, and I can look up at the wall and say, well, actually, I've ticked off a whole bunch of stuff as well. So that's really cool. Yeah. So, and then the typical day for you is literally just, is it meetings?
So I just try and smash it out, this can become, it started out as a hobby, right? And I would just work whenever I wanted. And then it became an obsession, and I would work, like 18-hour days. And sometimes there are times when you need to do that. We're coming up to the launch and there's going to be some pretty big days going in. But then once you start getting your team, and I've got a really good team now, for me, it's about managing those guys well so that everything can happen without me having to rely and look at every single little thing. Then for me to actually get what I need done and then go and enjoy my afternoon and my evening. So I usually finish around about, depends if I've got meetings or stuff, I'll like jump in or stay back or something, but usually around about 3:30 in the afternoon, I'll finish up and go spend a bit of time with my son, go and make some dinner, hang out with the kids, and then occasionally I'll do some stuff in the evenings, but at the moment, trying to get to the gym a little bit more and get a bit of a social life.
It's often overlooked, especially as people are getting started and building their businesses out. So what is that social side of things is so important, the family time so important. What do you think in terms of entrepreneurs, business owners, people who are out there busting it, doing things for themselves? What do you think they don't talk about enough in terms of, we talk about goals and we talk about achievement and we talk about to-do lists and we talk about whatever. What don't we talk about enough as a community?
What don't we talk about enough? I'm not sure. For me, see, I know I always talk about goals and stuff. And I really do think there's probably, and we talk about it, but I don't think people actually live it, is the importance of accountability and integrity with what you're doing. And, it can be tempting once you start getting into this industry to just sell out for an extra $100,000 here or there. But if you want to stay year after year and keep doing this and have people respect you, you need to stand behind your products. And that all starts with just, being true to your word. So even if you tell someone that you're going to meet them at 12 o'clock, you meet them at 12 o'clock. And if you know something's going to come up before then, you just send them a text and you communicate. For me, like integrity and that authority with my word, I think carries over to everything, because when you undermine yourself, so if I just show up like 10 minutes late or something and I haven't communicated when originally I said I was going to be there at 12, that undermines my power, and that power carries over with everything. So, and it carries in with my relationships, like with my children. If I say, to my son, like, I expect that you're going to have your room cleaned by 6 o'clock. If that's not going to happen, then these are the consequences. And then if 6 o'clock comes around, he hasn't done it, and I don't follow through with my consequences, it's undermining myself and my authority and my power. And we like do that in every area. So yeah,
it's awesome.
I think
It's
integrity
awesome
with your word.
that I guess integrity, as you said, even into the children, and making sure that that's followed through with to live up to your word. You also mentioned accountability. Do you have an active system for accountability? Are you accountable to someone?
I've now that I've got a bit of a team around me for my staff, even though it's not an actual set up accountability to a mentor type thing, I do have plenty of people in my circle that I, connect with, but not on a regular basis. For me, I keep the accountability by setting my own expectations with the staff. So when I say that I'm going to be launching, for example, on the 19th, that requires me to pull together a whole bunch of things in the process. And so I build around accountability in small pieces with different people. So if I tell my video guy I'm going to get the videos over to him in a certain time, I have to do that. Otherwise, it's going to throw his schedule out. So I guess that's what I mean by accountability, just making sure I'm setting things in place so that things just keep moving forward.
Nice.
I don't know.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. You mentioned mentors there, or like a non-formal partners there. Do you have a business coach, a business mentor that you engage with on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I've had a lot. So I've invested. I think getting getting someone that you can regularly meet with is really important. At the moment, I don't have anyone who I regularly actually is paid to meet with.
Yep.
But I always I've collected a whole bunch of really brilliant people around me. So I'm always just staying in communication, bouncing ideas off of them, making sure that I'm just staying on the right track. So,
yeah, sure. Yeah. I know a lot of people, they have that question of a business mentor relationship. Should we, shouldn't we? Is it the right time? Isn't it? Etc. And, almost categorically, successful people will say, yes, you need, you should go down. If you were talking to someone in a business role and they were saying to you, I think I need a coach, I need a business mentor, how would you suggest that they vet those people? How would you suggest they go about finding the right person to form that structured relationship with?
Now, this might not be very popular, and I'm all for not popular stuff. So I have paid I think I paid about 20 grand a year for a mentor, and we met up, and it was really, really great stuff. I've also had a lot of mentors that I've come across completely free. One of my most powerful mentor relationships that I had was it came about because I sent him an email in response, after I purchased one of his products. There was something broken in there. It had an email address, so I sent him an email back, and then he replied to me. We just had a couple of back and forths, and we built a relationship out of that. And that there was crazy powerful. I got more out of that than the $20,000 one. And I think, so while I think it's really good, if you can't find, you don't feel like anything is just falling into your lap in that way, then go pay for someone, get some kind of structure. But if you're in Facebook groups and you take the time and the effort to just go and you communicate and just get in touch with someone who you respect, who has and makes time for you, who you can show that you're not slack. I think there's something really beneficial for both parties, because if you're mentoring someone, there is that responsibility. It's another ability, and it makes you step up your game. You can't usually come straight out and say, can you mentor me?
Right.
But if you sometimes these things just happen organically. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're the best.
Being involved in, you mentioned social media, Facebook groups specifically, and being engaged in those groups. So I guess as we look at a Facebook group as an example, you've got people that are at the top of their game and you'll have people that have just joined. So you'll have that spread. And you're saying basically if you're engaging, just being yourself and helping where you can, naturally the people who are higher above you will help you along the way as well. And kind of that relationship will flow through. Do you find
it happens? Yeah.
Do you find social media a big part of your day?
It used to be. Right now, I mean, I think social media is always going to be huge, and it's going to just keep growing. And it's just going to evolve. Like with iSlick, we've got the opportunity to get in on camera more now than ever before. And I think it's really powerful to be able to connect with people, network with people, especially in internet marketing type area, because as you know, we can often just sit at home. If you're successful, that's like, you know, the success. You're living a full-time internet marketer's life. You're working from home and you're completely disconnected from, you know, office work life and stuff for the most part. So I think social media will always be and continue to grow powerfully. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
I was going to say more from a time management point of view. Do you find that you allocate specific amounts of time to social media in a day, or does it take a big chunk of your day, or is it something that you've got pushed aside? How does that affect your daily calendar?
Kind of depends. I don't intentionally go to Facebook anymore. If I go to Facebook, it's because one of my staff has said there's something going on here. I want you to go check it out. So, and that's purposeful, because I can't spend time there replying to everyone. Or if you know, we've got a launch coming up and I'll just like use Facebook Messenger to message people or something like that. So occasionally, if I just want a bit of downtime, I'll fluff around there. But yeah, there was a Google Chrome app. I can't remember. You mentioned extension, that shuts off Facebook News, like the news feed. I think it's like
it's news feed blocker.
News feed blocker.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it can be really easy to get. I definitely find myself, it can be easy for me to get down a rabbit hole of Facebook stuff, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed by heaps of stuff and I just go there for an escape. So if I catch myself doing that, I'll use the Facebook blocker and then get back to actually stuff. Because at the end of the day, right, I don't want to spend like 12, 18 hours sitting looking at a screen. There's a whole big world out there I want to go and explore and be a part of. So when I'm spending too much time on Facebook, it's time that's just stolen from actual real life.
Nice. I like it. So you mentioned a couple of things that I want to kind of drill a little bit deeper into. And again, thank you for the opportunity to do that. So one of the first things that you mentioned there, just in that last little section, was when you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling like things are on top of you. Do you have a process? Do you have a switch off that you can unplug, chill out, recharge, decompress, however you want to put it, and reinvigorate what you're doing?
At the moment, yeah. Well, my partner is usually a pretty good gauge for that. So if he can see that I'm just getting a little bit too much, he'll suggest we go fishing. So we just like go disconnect, no phones, except to take photos of the fish before we kiss them and let them go. So yeah, I don't know, not really. As far as like process now, I'm getting into a routine of actually coming into a co-shared office space. So I come here, when I go home, I have a different computer. Like if I want to just check stuff, it's not work stuff. So kind of just setting different spaces up, I guess. Yeah, I'm just being more intentional with my time offline.
I've just had a construction worker start outside my office here, so I'm muting in between. So sorry for the background noise, everyone. So that's cool in terms of I love the fact of having a different computer, being able to only do fun stuff or only take photos rather than check emails and that kind of stuff. The other thing I wanted to drill into was earlier into the program, we were talking about getting your first launch into a competitive space, et cetera, and doing that $100,000 in 14 hours. That seems like a pretty big accomplishment. When you look back over your journey as an entrepreneur, as a female CEO, what's the brag point? What's the one that you can just say, I did this and it was amazing. Look at my result. Time for a brag.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I don't know. There's just too many.
Okay. That's good.
For me, the successes for me, I think, are just lifestyle stuff. Like I've been able to, of course, we've done massive launches. We did, an Icelix coming up. We've been able to secure $1 million in VC funding for that. That is my next major woohoo. So that's really exciting. I think for me, it's really the lifestyle thing. Like I've been able to take my kids to Egypt, for example. Like when I was growing up, I was obsessed with Egypt. I had all the books in the library. That would be like my first go-to. But there are some things that you can't read in books because they don't actually allow cameras into certain areas in the pyramids and stuff. I was able to take my kids there. We've been to Paris catacombs. We've been to I don't know, just crazy, incredible places. So it's that kind of lifestyle to be able to choose what it is that you want to do that I really love. So yeah, we got products coming out to a zoo. We're able to do that. Oh, something that I really am very proud of this last year as well. We were able to take all of my staff, so my Wildfire Concepts company, we're able to take everybody over to Thailand. So we had 10 people. We flew them from 4 different countries, from like Finland and India, Philippines, Australia. We all just met in Thailand and had the opportunity to hang out and do some amazing adventures, like swimming with elephants and riding quad bikes, and we did amazing stuff. And so just the opportunity to make a difference, the chance I've been able to, my assistant has been working with me now for 9, I think it might be longer, like about 9 or 10 years. And so in that, I was able to, like the income that she earned from that, she sent me a message thanking me because it's put her daughter through college. So it's real life-changing stuff.
That's a real personal one. So that's incredible. $1 million in VC funding. Wow, that's amazing. Taking the kids through Egypt. Wow, that's incredible. Being able to fly your team together and have that kind of thing, and all because of I guess the courage to step out on your own. I'm sure though it hasn't been smooth sailing. As you said, 13 years, and it's been ups and downs. The biggest triumphs are amazing. Have there been biggest dips as well? And without going into the details of them, the biggest dip and the biggest lesson that you've learned as a result?
Well, I talk pretty openly about a lot of things, and I also believe that as entrepreneurs, we should have more open discussions about things, especially because it is never smooth sailing. It's never like, I'm happy, I'm excited, and at the moment I'm in a really good place because, things are moving in the direction that I intend them to do. But when things aren't, and when you get hit after hit after hit, it can be really hard. And when you don't have the support of people around you, it can be really hard. And, I'm not the only one. A lot of people in the space deal with mental health issues, depression, just all of these issues. And if you're not talking about it, it goes unheard and it goes unsaid. So I've had weeks where I haven't been able to get out of bed, and I've just laid in my pajamas. I didn't even get to bed. I laid in my pajamas on the couch for about 2 weeks straight. Didn't shower, and it's only when you get. I was really lucky. I had one of my sister-in-laws come and take me, like physically pick me up and take me to a doctor. And talking, unless you're actually talking and talking real with people, there's so much pressure, especially online, to show this great big happy persona and present yourself in a certain way. And when everyone else around you looks like they're living the life, and you are feeling like you want to die, it doesn't match up, and it just makes that worse. It just makes it so much worse. So Yeah.
mentioned you had the good fortune of somebody who cares to come in and
Yeah.
help you out.
The only thing that got me through that, yeah, yeah. What got me through that was, seeing a doctor and getting on medication,
Yeah.
and talking with people, and just like getting a little bit real about where you're at. When I was looking at stuff, everything felt too overwhelming.
Sure.
But when I was like actually just writing down the situation, in the end, most of the stuff I was worried about didn't really matter. We put so much pressure on ourselves and to be something that we're not. So taking it down, starting from scratch, and then just having a bit of a plan to get yourself out of there and talking to people.
And I always say to people, the inclination is to curl up and shut down, work harder, work, if you work in 18 nowadays, work 19, just keep working through. But I've learned along the way that the best way to handle that is to reach out. Instead of reaching in and trying to do more, to reach out, go and connect and speak to people. And that if you aren't fortunate enough to have a family, making sure that get into the medical profession, go and speak to someone. They'll take an appointment today, tomorrow, and they can go and sit down with you.
Yeah, because that just changed everything. Yeah.
Awesome. And it's not
I know it used to be so shunned, right? You just never talk about depression and stuff, but all it is just a chemical imbalance in your brain that's gone haywire, right? It's chemicals, right? So if you can actually go to a doctor, get that sorted, you get happy again.
Yeah, exactly. You can level out, which I think is the biggest thing. Cindy, I think like that's an incredible, I guess, wisdom to be able to talk that through. If you could take some of that wisdom and go back to the young Cindy, 29 years old in the hospital bed with the laptop open for the first time, knowing what you know now as an entrepreneur in the tech industry, what would you say to that young woman about what she's about to do and some of the things that you'd give as suggestions?
I don't think she would have believed me, first up. She would have thought I was crazy. I don't know, I would just say don't take things quite so seriously. Just loosen up. We're all so stressed, like whatever we're doing today is going to change our future and our destiny forever. And chances are, it might, but it probably won't. In the scheme of things, maybe it won't. And I think, just don't be scared to make mistakes.
Nice.
And I still fight with that and remind myself on a daily basis. But I think if I'd learned this, like, don't take things so seriously, be prepared to just screw it up. And then it's only in the action that you find out where you've screwed things up and where you can do better. So I've screwed so many things up, and I'm going to screw up some more.
Nice.
And screw things up faster.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think that will translate to in, let's say, 20 years' time? If you had the opportunity to fast forward and meet yourself in 20 years from now, what do you think that 20-year older self would say to you now to ensure that, you get to where you need to be?
We're doing some like time travel paradoxy stuff.
This is what the podcast is all about. Like, it's the flux time continuum, and it's, we powered it up before we
just don't touch, because if we touch, then the whole world.
Exactly, it's the whole Biff's Casino thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm really not sure.
What do you think I would say? This is 20-year-old Cindy, and of course we're not putting a number on that because we're polite. 20 years into the future, what do you hope that person will say to you right now?
I think would be just proud, of where I've come. Yeah. And proud, not just of where I've come for myself and my company and my staff and the affiliates who we pay. But also for the example that I am to my children, just that my kids can see that, you can come back from anything, you can screw up, and they've seen me screw up, they've seen me at my worst, but they see that I bounce back and just be that example to them.
Fantastic. So a well-deserved pat on the back from future Cindy. I think that's very, very cool. Cindy, as we're talking about that future, I know that you've got some big things on the horizon, and of course, Iceland coming through, which is, again, a huge congratulations for that. What's the goals now for you? If we're looking, I know we want to talk about Iceland becoming a world media platform, etc. That's going to be fantastic. But if we took a step back from that and said, okay, Cindy, as you are today, what goals are you setting? Where are we going to see you on the horizons?
I just love to express my creativity and to be able to communicate and help other people see what's possible. I still just remember just that light bulb switch once. The first time, for example, I made my first $10.97 sale, right? It's just that light bulb switch, and I love being able to see that for people that have been trying to make this work for years. And just, we get messages all the time saying, Cindy, this is the first time this has ever happened. Thank you for the community that you guys have created. Awesome. I just want to be able to do that just on a much larger scale. So nice. Just keep influencing people and build a real community that we can be proud of. In our Wildfire Concepts group, it's not major, it's not millions of people, but we've got 4,000 people in there who are actually committed. We meet every week for training webinars. We've been doing every week for over a year now, just really supporting and growing. And I want to be able to just build up more people who can be proud of what they do day after day.
That's very cool, mate. I'm super thrilled to hear it.
And obviously, sell Ice Slick for a couple $100 million.
Nice. Remember me when you're on your yacht. That'd be super cool. I've got a 60-second challenge for you, and then one other question just to wrap up. So my 60-second challenge for you, right? You meet up with a friend who you haven't seen for a long time. And this friend has been an employee all of their lives. Now they're in their 40s. And they meet up with you for a coffee. And they say to you, Cindy, I've finally taken the step out of that space and I've started my own business. And they've been following you, and they say to you, what advice could you give me to make sure that my business does well, Cindy? And I'll say, what's your advice to that person in 60 seconds?
Okay. Build a list. Nice. A list is your biggest asset. So build a list and then just start creating. Everyone has creativity inside of them. Work out what message it is that you want to share, and then put it together in a way that you can share it. And whatever you can do, build that list and nurture that list. Build a community around that. Use a platform like Asana. I recommend asana.com like crazy because you can just plan things. There is a lot of power in planning. And don't give up. So, try screw things up as hard and fast as you can. Don't be scared to be wrong. So find out where you can be wrong, fix it, and support yourself in a community that can help you grow.
I love it. My final question for you, where can people find out about you? Where can they keep in touch? Where can they join your community? How can people best get in touch with you and follow along with what you're doing?
I think probably the easiest way would be on Facebook. So if you go to facebook.com/groups/Wildfire Concepts, you'll be able to join our group. It's a beautiful community. Like I mentioned, we've got a few thousand people in there, and everyone supports each other. So if you really are just starting out, or you've got some ideas and you want to bounce them around people that can get excited and support you. And we have a whole bunch of free gifts that we give you, some list building tools, and we do a whole bunch of stuff in there, lots of contests and fun things. So come and join the community.
Nice. That's in the groups area. It's Wildfire Concepts as the group. Get in touch with Cindy, the iSlick team, and the whole Wildfire Concepts team. Thank you so much for the opportunity to bounce back and forth with you. I know in your journey as a CEO, as an owner of your future, I guess, it's a real inspiration to people. And again, thank you so much for the chance to bounce back and forth and for the time to chat with you.
Thank you for having me here, Walt. It's always great to catch up with you.